Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. Today, I bring you a superstar from the South Florida market. She was president of the Miami Association of Realtors in 2012. She has over 30 years experience in real estate. One of her most famous clients was Michael Jackson. She has been a director with NAR and Florida Realtors. As a speaker, she has traveled internationally and presented at the Paris Real Estate Expo. Her influence in South Florida market expanded internationally while traveling with former Governor Jeb Bush to South America. Her book with Brian Tracy, Ultimate Success Guide, is a bestseller. She has a passion to fight human trafficking and created Sisters of Vengeance by teaming up with director George Luis Monteiro for a short movie that launched last spring. We will only scratch the surface as she has a long list of things, and I really recommend everyone to get on her social media and really dig in there because she is an amazing person, amazing human. She is the CEO of Premier Elite Realty. Let's welcome Patricia Delinois to the show.
Thank you so much for that intro.
Oh, I appreciate you coming on. I mean, just reading your bio, Patricia. I mean, the things you've involved. I don't know how you have enough time in the day. It's
Don't either.
amazing. And looking at that, and what's amazing too, just looking at your history, you started in real estate very young, at like 18 years old.
Yes, yes. I immediately fell in love with real estate. I fell in love with the fact that you meet so many interesting people, and I'm fortunate to be able to do real estate in Miami, where we're so international and all the different cultures. So I get to meet unique people from all over the world and learn so much from them and be able to help them with their investments and needs.
If I was reading correctly on your because I cross reference, I do a look on LinkedIn. You sent me a bio. I looked at your bio on your website and went over. Your family was involved. Although obviously you came from Canada, but your family was involved in, if I recall, some real estate in New York and so forth. Was it kind of a family business that kind of got you interested in real estate?
Actually, I have a French mother who wanted me to be the perfect wife, to learn how to cook, sew, entertain, do parties, and paint. She's an artist.
Hmm.
So I didn't get to do sports and any of those other things that most young girls get to do. My life was very different. But when I was 18 and we moved to Miami, I immediately took a real estate course while I was going to college and became very successful in it. And my grandfather at the time would come visit maybe, once a year as I was growing up. And he would tell me stories of old hotels that he completely, demolished or renovated and would have people from all over the world come visit and celebrities. And it just sounded so dynamic and fun. And I thought, I would love to get a piece of real estate and just create from that. So I found a way to take my artistic background and put it into properties. So when I was very young, put a few $1,000s on a townhouse and completely renovated it and sold it. And from there, the properties just kept getting bigger and bigger and turned into commercial properties then and developments. But it really started from a little property and from my love of creating masterpieces of even affordable $50,000 townhouse, or if it's a multi-million dollar building. There's so much potential of what you can create in real estate. And what's great is that property is there forever until somebody knocks it down. So I still drive by now some of the properties I used to own, and I'm like, oh wow, yes, great memories.
You originally, if I'm again, I'm looking back on your LinkedIn and so forth. Originally started with Coldwell Banker, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But did you have a mentor, someone that you're 18, 19 years old, you're getting started, and did you have someone to follow around and teach you, or was it self taught?
Back then, there were no mentors and very few women
Hmm.
around. And this was in the early 80s. There was like Danielle Kennedy, who was a speaker. The internet wasn't even big. People were using those block cell phones. Um, our real estate books were those manuals that they would pass around every 2 weeks. And by the time you were there with a client, everything was outdated. So it's nothing like what it is today. And yes, I had to learn by trial and error, by making mistakes, by holding an open house 100 times, by doing things realtors now hate to do, but I didn't know any better. So today, I'm just amazed at all the tools that are offered to real estate agents. And I love training new agents. I love getting a brand new agent and being their mentor and showing them the ropes and helping them not make the same mistakes I made. So when somebody comes to me and says, "Wow, Patricia, I just want to thank you because you really changed my life," to me, that's real success. That makes me feel really good. I was able to help change somebody's life and make it for the better.
How, how do you reflect back at, you're thinking in those days, um, like you said, the magazine comes out every couple of weeks, right? You're, where today, a listing post on, they posted on Thursday, boom, they've got offers on Friday and Saturday. They maybe hold out till Monday and accept an offer. And, I don't, with South Florida, I know here in Northeast Florida, houses that are priced right, they're gone, again, with a good weekend if they're properly presented there versus back then. I mean, just because of the time of the snail of, the magazines and getting the word out. I mean, the houses just sitting for weeks or months at a time versus now just hours. And some of us, I think some of the agents today, they get a little antsy if a week goes by and they don't have, enough showings of what they think is successful initial launch, where back then that was just par for course.
Well, back then, interest rates were 13 and 14%.
Mhm.
So buyers now are complaining about 6, 7%, 5%. Back then, it was really rough. You had wraparound financing, maybe owner financing to help you. Cash buyers, they were around, but not that many. And also, I did real estate in Miami, and that was the cocaine cowboys era. So that was a whole other. I could write a book on that one.
Right.
So yes, I didn't, what you don't know. And I didn't know it was rough to sell a house with 13, 14%. I didn't have all the perceptions to tell me you're banging your head against the wall.
Mm.
All I knew was to keep going. And there's a saying that my father had always told me, and that's persistence wears down resistance. So if you just keep going, and you never give up, you will eventually get to where you want to be.
I guess something I tap on a lot. I mean, how many times we see that analogy of the mining for gold, and the guy swings the axe and he gives up, and the next guy comes in, takes two swings, and hits the golden nugget right where it was at. I mean, that is the key. Because real estate can drive you down. And my next question was, what was it like for you initially in a sense of, from a success? Did you just at that, killing it today versus killing it back then is two different things because the time of our marketplace, with the internet, everything moves a little bit quicker. Did you have great success right out of the gate, or did you struggle at times and wonder, were you doing the right thing?
I definitely struggled, and there is no overnight success. Sometimes you look at a person, you think, wow, how'd they do that? How'd they become this overnight success? I don't think overnight success exists. I think it's really trial and error and failures and getting back up. And I've always thought of this analogy is, let's say you have a beautiful home and your home burns down. You can sit in front of it and put your head in your hands and you can cry, or you can get up dust yourself off, and start again. And to me, that's equal success. If you can always do that, if you can always just get yourself back up, you will get to success.
When do you give us a little color on on your career path there? Because eventually you get into leadership, and you mentioned earlier that that time period, being a woman in Miami real estate, you know, you were a minority, which I don't know if it I would imagine it's probably the other way around right now. I don't know, you know, at least 50-50, or I think women dominate here in Northeast Florida as far as success agents. You know, we have some successful males, but I think the women generally have taken the majority of that. But how did that progress, and then how did you eventually progress into a leadership role?
Well, women have always been in real estate, and it's always been almost a second in the past. A second career, meaning you were a teacher first and then you decided to get your real estate license. Or maybe you were just a housewife and wanted to get a real estate license. The difference is I was a broker, an owner of a real estate company, and those were usually men back then. So not only did I sell, not only did I mentor, but I own my own real estate company. And in anything I do, I believe you have to give it 110%. So if I'm going to make real estate my career, I'm going to get involved in our realtor association. I'm going to get involved in the politics of real estate. I'm going to see what I can do because I believe in the power of one. And if we all do something, it will make a difference.
I'm glad you brought up involvement. I'm going to jump down on that one because I had put that in here and have, you know, the last month I've been, I think you probably saw my show with George Guerrero there. You know, the importance of being involved. We have a lot of things going on in real estate in general, obviously insurance and nationally, actually. We think it's Florida, but actually insurance is becoming a problem nationally. But being involved, you know, you obviously rose to the level of being president of the Miami board. You've been involved at NAR. You've been involved at Florida Realtor. How important is it if you're making a career in real estate to be involved, or if you're not necessarily one of those person that wants to be the point of the sword and being on a board, but to make sure you're involved and support those that are, and then you know, and the importance of RPAC.
It's very important. And sometimes I look back on some of the decisions that were made in NAR and I think, I don't agree with all of those decisions. Some that we're seeing what's happening now with Zillow. And, anyways, that could be a whole other bullshit subject, and what's happening with commissions and everything. And it
Mhm.
really was because of whoever was president at the time and let it happen and gave
Uh,
away rights.
yeah, the importance of well, putting your thoughts out there in impacting those people. I think you know, you know, I'm sure you know Patty Ketchum. Patty, when I interviewed her the very first time, she said really for a number of years, her analogy was she did not cast a shadow in the doors at the local board, and she missed out on a lot of relationships. Of course, I think she's made up for that over the years, but
Mhm.
the importance of, you know, going and being involved, knowing what's going on, and again as a leader, especially right now, I imagine, you know, there's scuttlebutt, water cooler talk in your office amongst others about the NAR lawsuit and how that might affect you know, our business, you know, real estate agents says, and how they do their business. But the, you know, the importance of being involved and being in the know on those things, especially if you're going to be in leadership.
Right, right. In a way, a lot of it I think is going to be the same because people need realtors. People need service. The internet can only do so much. And actually, with MLS, it really has always been that there's never been any set commission. You could pay the co op broker $1 if you wanted to. That's always how it has been in the past. But if you reward the co op brokers, you will get more people to see your property. And I think sellers will recognize the benefit of not just paying a listing broker, but paying a co-op broker. And in the end, it comes out of the HUD. So, it's all still part of the sale.
What are you, because I imagine you probably addressed this with your agents at, sales meetings or something, or gotten word out. What are you directly saying to your team at Premier?
What we do is we definitely operate as normal, and we explain to a seller the benefit of cooperating with the co-op brokers on the MLS and paying them a commission. And not only maybe paying them 2 or 3 or 4%, pay them more. I mean, we're actually willing to take less and give the co-op broker more, because the more exposure you have on your home, the faster it's going to sell.
100%, 100%. Um, if you were speaking to a large group of the brokers out there, how often should you be expressing this? Because I think many people believe, I have agents in all the time, that there's some that search out negativity and so forth. But I agree with you. I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. We just got to get better at what we do and expressing the as real estate agents, as loan officers, as I am, what value we bring and actually what we do, because there's so much that we do that is sight unseen in an office with a closed door in a computer or whatever, that our customers don't actually see. We need to be better at expressing the value that as agents that you're bringing to the table, whether you're on the buyer and seller side.
I totally agree with you. It's all about education, and that's what I think NAR and our local associations should focus on,
Mhm.
is showing the public our value, showing what we actually do for those commissions.
What with the current market condition here in Northeast Florida? Just to give you an idea. So I don't know what's going on in Miami. You can let me educate us there on what you're dealing with here in this market. Obviously, we don't have the price point of average price point probably you have down there, in a slightly smaller population, because this is kind of the last corner of Florida that unless they want to go out into the panhandle. New construction is beating, all coming out with all these incentives. They're buying down rates and so forth. For your customers that do need financing, because I imagine some of your bigger deals are just cash, but we are seeing probably, I think it's close to 50% cash here too. People moving from up north, selling their homes there and coming to Northeast Florida for the schools and so forth. But my question is, based on 18 months ago when rates are 3%, or 24 months ago 3% or lower, to today's market, what are you teaching your general real estate agents on those people who do need, they're only got 5 or 10, 20% down? How are you coaching the sellers and prepping them to make that property more attractive? Are you coaching to do buy downs and so forth in that market, in your market?
If obviously the seller has a lender that's willing to work with them, and the buyer that has a lender that's willing to work with them, and I think we're going to see a lot more assumable and wraparound financing as we saw in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that is going to come back and be normal, but there really is, what buyers have to understand, there won't ever be a perfect scenario. uh, it's very hard to find that perfect property at the lowest price at the lowest interest rate. If
Right.
the interest rates go up, the prices of the properties are going to sell slower, and there'll be more available and you have more opportunity. If you see the interest rates go down, there's going to be a mass of buyers at the same time, and we're going to see pretty much what we saw right after the pandemic, where everybody's trying to outbid the other and pay 100,000 more, or sometimes 200,000 more, pay full price or make multiple offers and never get those properties. So there's no perfect scenario, but millionaires and billionaires have been made by real estate. It's still the best and safest investment you can make. So my advice is, go out there, bite the bullet, Buy the property you can afford with the down payment you can afford.
I was actually I posted it this morning on LinkedIn, a reel that I had a discussion with one of the local agents here. She herself is an investor. She flips homes. She's very good at that. Has a team, just has got it down. But one of the things we talked about is if you're looking at an investment property right now, because the rates are a little higher, and if you need to get a loan on it, your cash flow maybe not be to your liking. Maybe you're just breaking even with the cost of the home right now because where interest rates are at. But would you agree? I mean, with the demand in housing, obviously, in Florida, but we're short housing nationally, especially extremely short and affordable housing everywhere. That if you do see a good deal, maybe you are just breaking even, but to enter in the market because of you're talking about the wealth, advantages of owning real estate.
Yes, enter the market. Whatever price point, it will make a difference in the long run. Now, of course, Miami is a little bit of a more unique situation. I feel that we're like a baby city, a teenager about to sprout. And we have so much construction and developers coming here and billionaires
Mhm.
coming right now at the moment, making Miami their home, and great tax incentives. And because these people are coming, the Jeff Bezos, the Ken Griffins, and making Miami their home and building these enormous office buildings to bring all their employees from where they were before in other states. These people are going to need housing. These people are going to need they're going to be putting money into the economy and spending money, which will be helping Miami. So, yes, it probably is bringing up Miami prices, but Miami's growing. So, in the
Mhm.
long run, the investment will be excellent.
What is the market down there? The few times my wife's grandfather lived there, well, pretty much his
Mhm.
whole life, and visiting through Miami at that time, being in the neighborhood that he was in, and so forth. There's a lot of older areas that are ripe for flipping. Am I correct, or is that opportunities for investments to obviously find some of these homes and renovate them? Because obviously the location, you can't beat it there, but obviously I'm sure some of the houses are tear downs and they just rebuild a whole new home there. But are those opportunities there regularly in Miami?
Yes, what people forget is Miami is still a new city. We get compared with lots of older cities, with New
Mhm.
York, with Paris, and what they don't realize is you can go to New York, and if you, or Boston or Paris, and you want to buy a small commercial building, forget it. The opportunity's not there.
Mhm.
The hedge funds, the older families, the older real estate families have gobbled all these prices and buildings for years. There's no fresh opportunity to enter into some of these investments. In Miami, there still is because we're still a baby city that's growing. So there are commercial opportunities, there are residential opportunities, there are knockdown opportunities, there's older neighborhoods that you can do fix up and flips. And it may not be the deals you could have gotten 3 years ago, but there is still opportunity.
I'm going to change gears a little bit because I want to expand a little bit on your worldly influence that I'm reading about here, because Premier, you do have you're, and then correct me if I'm wrong. You have offices in Coral Gables, South Miami, Miami Beach, of course, but you have some sister offices in Dubai and Argentina. How did that come about?
Well, we recruited real estate agents who had ties in other countries. For instance, we have one agent, her name is Miriam, and she just also opened a satellite office in Kuwait. So we have agents all over the world that are um, going back and forth, living 6 months here and 6 months in another country. So we're a boutique agency of about 160 agents
Mhm.
with all different languages. I speak French and Spanish, but we focus on the international influence.
Not getting too deep into Argentina right now. Obviously, I know they got a new president, right? That
Right.
spoke at the UN. Just give us a little taste of either Dubai or Argentina, what it's like, or some of the differences in dealing real estate there versus the States.
Well, we're working with, Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, France. And what people don't realize is here we have a transparent real estate market. And what that means is we've got an MLS. You can see all the different properties. And even in some states in the United States, it's not like this. So we have a very transparent association and MLS. In some of these countries, in Brazil, for example, you can put your house for sale and have 6 signs from 6 different real estate companies. We don't have the same exclusivities or rules that we work with. And sometimes we get foreigners from other countries looking for property here,
Hmm.
and they work with 5 or 6 different agents. And, we'll have an agent that says, I thought you were my friend. I've been working with you.
Right.
Why are you working with 5 or 6 different agents? I can show you those same properties. But I remind our agents, you have to educate these buyers because they're coming from different countries where the rules are different.
Mhm.
They don't realize that you truly have a transparent MLS and you can truly show them every single property that's available for sale because it's really not that way in some other countries.
Interesting. Title work and so forth, I would imagine, is a little different too.
Everything is different. For example, even in Paris, the city of lights, our favorite, most romantic city. So I remember when I was traveling with our realtor association and I was in Paris and I met one of the top agents there. And I said to her, I said, wow, you are so lucky you get to sell real estate in this beautiful city in Paris and properties just fly like that and sell so easily. You probably don't have to work hard at all. And she says, wow, no, Patricia, you've got it wrong. I would love to be in your shoes. And I'm, why? And I said, I don't understand. Why? You're here in Paris. What could be better?
Right.
She said, well, they don't value the real estate agents as much. We're more considered paper pushers. I'm like, what? And she said, yes, we don't get the high splits you get in Miami because our properties sell so easily and are in such demand. Sellers don't even have to maybe list their property. And if they do, they go with the old brokerages who then pick the agents they want to use and give them much lower splits because they feel that there's not that much work involved. So it's almost the perfect real estate market, I think, and what I
Mhm.
learned from her is not the super hot market where they don't really need a real estate agent. It's not the horrible market where everybody's losing their home in foreclosure. The perfect real estate market for a real estate agent is a balanced real estate market. And why? Because it gives you the opportunity for those agents who really want to work to get those listings, to really push and do those open houses and market those properties, and they will sell them. And because the sellers do need you. So I think we are now in Miami, Florida, in South Florida, a balanced market.
That was my next question. Yeah, what with what's going on right now, you sound like you were describing today's marketplace, and that's what I'm hearing from the agents right now. I mean, they're obviously some finished this year well, others did not, and the battle for listings right now, as that same agent I was talking about, we did the little reel on investment properties. She says right now she's actually getting more calls for listings. So even though we're very short with inventory of existing homes, that we are seeing it creep up a little bit with the from the seller side for putting inventory out. Do you believe that we could, if the rates were to drop? I don't personally think they're going to. That's my personal opinion. I watch Bloomberg every morning and listen to them talk out of either side of their mouth about where rates are going. But if we were to see rates go to 5.875, we could be back into like 2021 where you are getting 20, 30 or more offers on a home.
Right. Well, that's exactly what I explained would happen.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a savvy buyer, you want to get it. Look, even if you're in the stock market, you'll never get that perfect pinpoint. But if you do want to buy a property, now is the time. You don't want to wait till the rates have gone really low and you're fighting and in a bidding war.
Mm-hmm.
It's now. You know rates are going to go down some time this year. So now the prices, while they're still not shooting up and there's not a bidding war, this is really the perfect time to make an
Yeah.
offer.
You're still, I mean, even I'm sure you're seeing it, even in good priced quality homes, you're still seeing two, three, four, five offers right now, and you're battling it out, and that may triple or quadruple or more if rates drop, because there's so many I think are sitting on the sidelines. I'm sure you would agree. I'm going
Of
to go to
course.
chapter 3 of our discussion because I've looked over your some of your social media, but you are way out there, and I was visualizing in my head someone who might be watching this and going, I'd love, after being in the business 30 years like Patricia, to be an influencer as you are, but you've positioned yourself to be that. And was it something that just came along just naturally for you, or did at some point in your career to say, you know what, I want to be, the go-to person in Miami. I want to, travel. I want to be called by the governor to go, speak at these, when did at that point did you start to do, or just the steps that you were taking kind of just led you that way? You know what I'm saying? And then obviously with social media came out, I mean, you have a huge social media following, taking, realizing that as being the next thing to leverage to take you to another level.
Right. And as I explained before, there is no overnight success. It's planting those seeds. And there's so many different areas that brought me networks and spheres of influence from those different areas. Meaning, we have an online real estate show, which is called Hot Life Miami, which helps us connect with businesses, local businesses, power players. I have a title company and referral company that I work with also, which brings a whole other area of influence. I work with foundations of writers. So I've been creating books like The Ultimate Success Guide with Brian Tracy. And I worked with Larry King with The Big Question, and also on some filming with him behind the scenes in writing and in production, the things I did with Larry King, who will rest in peace, will truly be missed. He was an iconic legend. So I've worked in foundations and charities and so many different areas that brought that influence to me. It's not one sector or one thing I did, it's the many different things I did.
By putting yourself out there, being involved, whether it was at the local board or, like you said, these charities and so forth, um, introduced you to other people outside of your circle that, allowed you to obviously make the connection. I'd say, with Larry King, however that evolved and so forth. How did social media, when you started seeing it come about, which I don't know if you could put a date on it, maybe, as far as it came to you and said, hold on, this is a way I can, take my marketing into real estate, and a lot of it's free. I just got to create it. And then, like I said, I did look at some of your browse some of your Hot Life Miami episodes, which I think is great, because one thing that George Guerrero says, he thinks the 2034, 2044 real estate agent is going to be like a that newscaster or talk show host person in front of the camera. Is that something, did you have to work at getting, or is it a natural thing for you in front of the camera? And how do you encourage your agents to do something similar?
I saw social media as an opportunity when it first came out. So I was one of the first ones that embraced it as soon as it came out. So I have numerous accounts
Mhm.
and work all those accounts together, numerous accounts on Flipboard, on Pinterest, on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. So on all those accounts, it's brought me the opportunity to reach out to millions of people. And yes, it was a slow process. Like even on my Instagram, I think I might have 2,500 posts. So that's 2,500 days of actual posts,
Mhm.
not including the stories. So it's not something that happens overnight. It's something that you have to work at daily. And I do so many different things that I guess people are curious and they want to see what's going on. And I believe in the 80-20 rule. So even though real estate is really what I do, people are also curious of what I do personally.
Mhm.
So maybe 20% of it is real estate and 80% is on the charities I work on the boards I'm on the projects I'm working on. So there's so much that you can bring in to bring in an audience of all different levels, which I think is very powerful. Because if you do get a message that you really want to make a difference on and you really want to get that attention, we are so blessed to have social media. It's free. So
Mhm.
we can make a difference. That's really the power of one right there.
Would you agree a position, and I think you kind of take this position, like you're saying, your 80-20 rule, 80% of, you're talking to a business owner, other people in the community, hey, what's going on in Miami, and not actually talking about, hey, I got a house for sale, or, I just sold one, or whatever. You're 80% of those other things, because in especially in your market, but it can be used in any market, because people, especially here in Florida, because people are moving from outside the area. Especially the international clients, they're moving from another country, some of them, or, in there, they don't know all the hot spots. They just know Miami's nice, and they've been there whatever amount of times when it come in. But you, as the local person on the ground, and basically, been there for 3 decades, you'll kind of know what's behind the scenes and these little things that are going on, these little gems that make Miami, awesome, to be the concierge, so to speak, and that what your hot life Miami really is like. You're just being a concierge, showing everybody all the little nooks and corners of the great things of Miami.
Well, that's how Hot Life Miami was created. It was to showcase the beauty of Miami and the people, the power
Mhm.
players, the businesses, the people who make it happen.
How has that evolved? And I think one thing people discount, when you become somewhat of an influencer, you are an influencer, but even just a partial influencer by going around and highlighting some of these local restaurants, little hot spots, whatever it might be, you start connecting with some of these people on another level. You start creating a relationship,
Right.
which then I mean, you're the go-to lady. Hey, real estate, you got to call Patricia, and that agents they got to start the journey, and it doesn't take long. Before they actually probably will start to see some results, because they start to influence if they're consistent, obviously.
Right. You know, uh, real estate is a service, and you will be successful in real estate. But the public, the people you work with, they really want three things. They want to know that you like them, you care, and they can trust you. So it's not just about making those deals. It's about working with the community and the people that you're surrounded with. It's showing your community you care. You care about Miami. You care about this world. And that's why, as a company, we have always supported. I was on the board and past president of Barton Ravlin for the Women's Cancer Association. I've been on, helped with Easter Seals. I mean, so many different boards, causes, charities. And what I've been working with now, which is really I'm very passionate about, and it's very close to my heart because it's now the number one global problem, not just here in Miami, around the world. And it seems that even since the pandemic, even since I've been working on it, it's only getting worse and more difficult. So I feel that, again, the power of one, if I can take my influence and if I can bring all of the people I know and the little power I have, but make it, more powerful with having everybody join and help. So when I was offered the opportunity by a director and he says, hey, I know how passionate you are about, helping human trafficking. Will you work with me on this short movie on human trafficking called Sisters of Vengeance? And I said, of course, anything I can do to use my influence and help, I want to. So we did it and we filmed it, and it was finished in April of last year. And then we put it out to the film festivals. And to our surprise, it won over 31 official selections, nominations, and awards. I'm like, wow, people really do care. People really are watching. People really want to make a difference. So let's finish this movie. Let's make it a feature film and let's make it happen so that we not only bring awareness to our city and to the film festivals, but if we can help millions of children and young women around the world that are in this situation by just bringing awareness and letting people know what not to do and what to look for and how to be careful and show the criminals we're watching, that's huge. We can save millions of lives. So we are filming a very big, intense scenes on Ocean Drive on Fifth Street, right by Lummis Park, overlooking the ocean, doing a rally, which is in the film. So this is, if you want to call it a staged rally, and it's showing the people, it's part of the movie, that are protesting against human trafficking. And then it's also showing a candlelight vigil where they will be holding, obviously, battery operated candles and singing Amazing Grace as they're posting photos of real life missing kids that are still missing on a wall, singing Amazing Grace. And let's work together. Let's find these children. And we're also going to be using in the movie is a few survivors of human trafficking. And there's all sorts of forms of human trafficking. There's sex trafficking, there's organ trafficking, there's labor trafficking. And we're going to include some of these survivors and also some of the people who have lost family members to this cause in this movie, just to take it one more level personally. So even though it's a fictional story and it's a dark comedy, and people have said, why in the world did you make this a dark comedy? And our answer is because it works. The reason is not everybody's going to watch a documentary. Not everybody's going to watch a super serious movie on human trafficking.
Right.
But if you can get them to come and watch this and be entertained because people told them how good it was, they're going to get the message. They may laugh, they may cry, but they're going to get the message and they're going to understand and they're going to know what to do. So we've had people come and watch the short movie and not leave feeling depressed, but leaving feeling hopeful, like there is maybe something we can do. And look, if we can do that and we can help save millions of lives, wow, it's huge.
How many questions have gone through my head because we wanted to take this segment, which you transitioned nicely for me, into this subject. Um, Sound of Freedom, obviously, most people have heard. I have feared going to see it because I've listened to a lot of the interviews with the actor and then the special forces gentleman who I guess it's based around, and they politely the graphics that they've said they've seen. Now it's not necessarily in the movie, but the way they describe it, seeing some of these videotapes of people being abused was just too much from that standpoint. That I was like, I'm a pretty emotional person. I don't know if I could sit through it. Now I imagine you probably have seen it, but I mean, to encourage people or enlighten people, how bad is it? Because I think you and I would agree. I don't think people actually realize, and I can only say it's bad. Like you're saying, it's bad, but I probably don't have an inkling of how bad it is.
It's bad.
Mm.
Sound of Freedom, though, I'd highly recommend. Go see it. It's a great movie. And yes, we have heard, the controversy all around it. Um, Obviously, they've been very um, politically vocal. So we decided to not be political.
Mhm.
We're not a political movie. We're not about politics. Also, people then said, well, how could that have happened? That's not realistic, or blah, blah,
Mm.
blah. Well, we're taking the approach, ours is fiction. It's not a true story. It's a fictional story. It's just to bring you a message. And again, that's why we made it a dark comedy. And that's
Mhm.
why we made it more palatable. So we can attract a wider audience, so we can get the message out, so we can have people in their 20s get it and like it, and we can have grandmas watch it also and like it. So yes, that's why we took this unique approach with this movie, because we had a goal, is to bring awareness.
How can first of all, we want people to be aware. That's the bottom line thing. But how can just a common person who you know uh, I know there's an issue here in Jacksonville from what I'm told. Now I live in St. Augustine, so I'm about 30 miles south from where it's there's more supposedly where the hot spot of the human trafficking issues are, but it's everywhere.
Everyone.
How can anyone help in any little way on a daily, monthly, yearly? What can someone do to help out? Because I think that's what a lot of people are like frozen. Like, okay, we really know it's bad, but what can I do?
Right. You be careful, and you teach your children for the signs and to watch out. And yes, gone are those days where you can have your little kids playing outside on a bicycle and ball unattended.
Hmm.
I did that when I was younger. I wouldn't recommend people do it nowadays. There was just something on social media recently. Uh, a mother went to a convenience store, and she's walking outside, and her little kid is following behind her. And some guy who really doesn't look like a bad guy goes and grabs the kid. Luckily, there were people watching. And these people I call heroes.
Hmm.
These are people who are willing to step in and help someone they don't know. And they immediately went and tackled this guy, and were able to apprehend him and save this child's life. So if we can teach people, and this is part of what we do with the movie, and especially on the 19th, we're going to film a behind the scenes documentary, and also have different people speak about their experiences and what happened to them. So they can teach young kids, young girls who really aren't aware about how easily they could get roofied, or how many fake profiles are AI generated, targeting young 12, 13, 14-year olds. Hey, you want to go to a party, or come and meet me here?
Right.
So they're young, innocent kids, and they don't know any better. And it's so easy to fall into these traps. Or the story that The Sound of Freedom showed, where, a modeling agency that looks really legit comes to a father and says, let me have your kids for an afternoon. You can come pick them up at 4 or 5 o'clock. Just drop them off. And of course, he goes to that place where he dropped them off. She reminded him, don't be late. So he was early.
Mhm.
And he gets there, the father, to pick up his little daughter and his little son, and opens the door, and everybody's vanished and gone. So can you imagine, as a father, your heart is just pounding, saying, how could I be so stupid? But, this woman, she looked like a beauty queen and she looked
Mhm.
so legit and she looked so honest. And it was only an afternoon. It wasn't even the parents that send their kids away to another country. He brought them there for photos and etc. for the afternoon and picked them up, went to go pick them up early. And that was the story of Sound of Freedom, those missing kids that the father let go for just an afternoon, thinking they were going to be future stars. So,
Um, you, um, there was one of the interviews that I was watching them interview the Sound of Freedom guys, and he talked about evil, and that people don't realize or comprehend. He had come to grasp with there's true evil out there, and the average person on a daily basis we don't see it, and we want to think everyone is good like we are, and think about and watch someone else's kid, and we're like you're saying those heroes, and run over there and intercept that because mom wasn't paying attention or whatever. There is people out there who are just truly dark evil, and we have to be vigilant to that. And that was something obviously I got from him. And I've never seen it. He was describing what he was seeing, and he just said that it was just evil. And we because we can't get the average person can't get their hands around that, and what that truly is.
well, it's hard to believe, but I've had friends personally um, have the boyfriend situation where you meet some handsome guy and you just fall in love with this guy. And my girlfriend from Panama had a similar situation. And when she moved here to Miami, met this handsome guy, and he was charming and sweet. And before you know it, he had the story of, I can't pay my bills. If you love me, you have to help me.
Oh God.
You're going to have to sleep with these guys. You're going to have to help me with this financial situation. And she was just a kid. She was
Mm,
17, 18, and she didn't know what to do in that kind of situation and had no place to go and
right.
no family. And there's so many similar stories to her. Uh, Luckily, her story ended well. I moved to Miami shortly, and she came to live with me and my family. And she didn't tell me the story until years later. She was just too embarrassed. And she said,
Mm,
Patricia, you guys saved my life. You really don't even know.
wow. Um, it's on every corner, and when you hear these stories, it tear your heart out. And you again, I can't even fathom the what they physically, mentally went through. Is just unimaginable. But the I'm sure you follow Tim Tebow. I follow him and what he's doing and so forth. And it's a never ending mission, but it's a mission we have to take. I think is basically the way he describes it.
Right. So I've
Yep.
met some survivors, which are rare because the ideal is they want a young girl between 9 years old, 10 years old to 14 years old. And they'll take boys too, but that age is usually easier to manipulate. And then they start them on drugs, willingly or unwillingly.
Hmm.
And before you know it, they're a drug addict or incoherent. um, they overdose. Usually, their lifespan is maybe 7 years. They either die by overdose, accidental death, somebody kills them, they kill themselves. Uh, it's really, yeah, it's rough.
I
But
want just one question because they say the United States is one of the greatest consumers of this. is it our laws? Is it our morality? Why do you think that is?
It's happening all over the world, but you have to
Mhm.
remember a lot of this is undocumented. So maybe there's more documentation in the United States and in some
Okay.
countries where, people are taking advantage of what's going around the world. There are criminals waiting right at the border for these young children just coming
Hmm.
out. In the Ukraine and Mexico, all over the world, there are situations.
Right.
Um, in India, and there are places that the countries or people are so poor, and if they have a family of 6 kids to feed, and they have to sacrifice one to feed the rest of the family, and if that child's willing to be sacrificed, that happens.
Mm.
So, anyways, on a more
Yes.
positive note,
Yes. Well,
is
I wanted to have that talk. I was really curious, and obviously, it's wanted to know, your involved, your feelings. I don't mind, because again, I don't think many people fully grasp it. I can fully grasp it. I know it's out there, but I think just everyone feels like, what can I do?
Well, what you can do is we work with lots of different foundations,
Hmm.
and you can either get involved yourself if you don't have the money or give money. And, our website is sistersofvengeance.com. And somebody said to me, well, this is just a thriller, but you're missing the point.
Hmm.
It's a movie getting a message across to millions of people. And the reason it's made as a thriller and a comedy is, again, to get more people to watch. And
Right.
even though my passion's real estate and I love real estate and I love helping young people become successful in real estate, again, if at my funeral they're not going to be talking about the $10 million deal I did or the land lease in downtown Miami.
Hmm.
But if I can have people that I help families find their children or save millions of lives, to me, that's a successful day. To me, I can die happily knowing I made a difference in this world.
100%. We'll finish with a real estate question.
Go
uh,
ahead.
uh, what do you think of the future challenges in real estate?
Well, we were told our challenge will be the internet, AI, and not needing real estate agents anymore. We've been told that for years
Yes.
that we're not going to need you, we're not going to need real estate agents. But go ahead, go out there and try to buy a house without a real estate agent. It's tough. It's not easy. So if I could have somebody help me, I think you're losing your camera.
Is my camera go still? Am I good?
Yeah, are you see me clearly?
Yeah, I see you. You're fine. Yep. I just have you
Oh,
on the
okay.
screen right
On
now, so you're fine. Yeah.
okay. On my side, I'm all blurry, but okay, as long as
Yep.
you can see
No, you're
me.
good.
So people still want someone to hold their hand. The most expensive purchase anyone is ever going to make is their real estate property, residential or commercial. So if you're going to do that purchase of a residential or commercial property without an expert holding your hand throughout the process and count on online, I can't imagine that someone would do that. When you go to a dentist, you have a professional help you. When you're going to have surgery, you have a professional help you. So if you're going to make the most expensive purchase of your life, you better have the expert holding your hand throughout the process.
No, I totally agree. I think it's a fallacy that our business can, either both sides really, on the lending side. Yeah, there's a lot of cookie cutter borrowers out there that have W-2 employment and they're putting whatever amount down, and you know it, it's a easy loan. Yeah, a computer probably could have done that one. But I mean, right now, I think any loan officer you talk to, we're getting a lot of puzzle pieces and then trying to figure out what product is going to be best for them and then present it to them. I don't think a computer can actually, do that and
No,
rationally talk to them the same way that
no,
real estate agent can handle the bumps in the roads from repairs to all the different things that you guys handle throughout a transaction. Even the most basic transactions, at the end, you only know they're basic. You don't know they're basic at the beginning because, as
right.
I'm sure you've experienced many times, you thought, oh, this is going to be an easy one. And all of a sudden, something like a repair or something comes up and throws it off its tracks, and you're negotiating and getting it back on the tracks. So I totally agree with you. The human factor, we can go online and see stuff flash up in front of us, and people buy stuff that flashes in front of them on Facebook or Instagram with all the commercials. Imagine if those were properties flashing in front of you and you're trying to buy a house. It would just be a mess. You need the professional to weed it out 100%.
I
Yeah.
always recommend any purchase you're going to make, have a good attorney, have a good title company,
Yep.
have the expert in real estate, and have a lender that really knows what he or she is doing. And the reason is yeah, there can be those perfect transactions where nothing goes wrong. But when there's a problem, if you have those experts to guide you and help you find solutions, they're going to make it happen.
Mhm. Actually, some of the experts are too good. You don't even realize it was a problem because they took care of
Correct.
it. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, 100%. Patricia, I enjoyed having you on the show today, getting to know you. I mean, we could talk for hours about your
Hours,
career.
yes.
I hope anyone listening, to go on your social media, learn more about Patricia, and obviously, at Premier, are you generally hire experienced agents, or do you hire some green people right out of licensing? What are some of the agents that you're looking for there at your recruiting?
Obviously, we're not going to turn down experienced agents. Yes,
Hmm.
we have many experienced agents come work with us. I was just explaining that I love the fact to help new people because
Hmm.
I didn't have that kind of expert or mentor help me when I first started out. So if I can help new agents get started out, I love that.
You'd be an awesome mentor. Anyone in the Miami market that's looking to get into real estate, that just to have you on a speed dial to call up with your experiences of over 30 years would be priceless. Really,
I'm
and
very open. I give everyone my cell. Call
mhm,
me 24/7. It's an emergency, whatever. 2 a.m., midnight, I'll pick up the phone.
100%. I appreciate you. Hope you have a super day, and your event on the 19th is a success.
Thank
But thanks again.